Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. Traditionally, you would see Sparky with me today, but today he is out dealing with some personal things. Hopefully, he gets it all done. Godspeed. He'll explain tomorrow. But sitting in for our boy Sparky is our guy 24KG. He is getting set up as we speak. Hopefully he can hear me and we'll get this all set up and going here. We got plenty to talk about. LeBron James finds himself in hot water once again. I know you guys heard a couple weeks ago the comments that he made saying the Lakers aren't a championship team. It's just not a championship team to him. So we'll see what his thoughts really are in terms of what is a championship team, what isn't a championship team. Plus, he also just broke another one of his long-standing records in the NBA. He will no longer be allowed to, or I'm sorry, he has missed too many games this season and will not be on the all NBA teams this season. He will not reach the 65 game threshold. So a 21-year streak has been broken there as well. Plus, we'll talk about all things in TKO. Tom Aspinall got surgery yesterday. And to be honest with you, this is one of those situations where I really don't understand how we aren't looking into this a little bit more. Tom Aspinall, if you weren't paying attention back in October, is a heavyweight champion for the UFC and was in this fight with I believe his name is Cheryl Gain, if I'm not mistaken. And again, UFC fans, feel free to tighten me up if I was wrong there. But Cheryl has not been able to really have a clean fight. So this was really one of those situations where it was rough going in, rough coming out. And again, not 110% sure why the UFC hasn't really taken any punishment towards Gain. I don't know if they can really prove that he did this in some way that would, cause issue or at least prove that it was a dirty move. What he did was he, in my opinion and in Tom's opinion, intentionally eye poked the champion and caused this issue. I'm not 110% sure what happened or how it happened. It was, or I'm sorry, not how it happened. We all saw how it happened. I apologize. I don't understand how Dana White and the rest of the front office really hasn't done anything to help Tom in this area. It has been one of those situations that has just left me dumbfounded, if I'm being completely honest. But we will get into all of that by and by. There's a ton of sports to get to, obviously. And if you're a sports fan, you're looking to listen to some this weekend, don't miss out right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Starting on Saturday, the 14th, we have a pair of basketball games for you out of the NCAA. The UCLA Bruins will head to the number 2 Michigan Wolverines, the number 2 team. But I'm telling you right now, outside of them in Arizona, there's not a lot of favorites to walk away from March Madness as successful as they are. So at this point, the Michigan Wolverines are probably, if not the favorite in the NCAA. And then we got Kentucky headed to Florida right after that, taking on the number 17 Gators. And then on Sunday, you have another game as well. The Indiana Hoosiers will be headed to Illinois, number 5 in the nation, to take on the Illini. It seems like KG could not hear me, so hopefully we'll be able to fix that here in the first break and get him in here. We'll talk all things wrestling with our guy 24KG. There's been some update as well for you wrestling fans on Bianca Belair and her injury status. Her husband, Montez Ford, has made a resurgence with his tag team partner lately, showing a little bit of a weight gain. That was kind of interesting. Not used to seeing that from Montez. Usually Montez is one of those guys that you see as a high flyer. You don't really see the high flyers put on weight. So maybe that was something that was passed down from Triple H, that although we love Montez and the fans want to see him in a singles push, but maybe that the lack of muscle was the reason why we didn't get that push. And maybe he sees this as a step forward for his career, because he does get into a lot of bodybuilding competitions and whatnot outside of the world of wrestling. If you didn't know that, we learned that, I believe, during either Divas or the reality series that the two of them did last year, that gave you a little bit of a background into their life, Bianca and Montez, as they both go around as WWE talents and also try to live their lives outside of that. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy lifestyle. But we'll get into all that by and by, especially when we get our guy KG in here. We are working on that as we speak. Let's start with LeBron James. Everybody's favorite basketball player, right? LeBron James had this to say the other day. Again, why LeBron decides to make these statements, I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure most of you have heard this. This was after the game against the Thunder. Reporters asked him, what do you think about this team? Why do you think you can't you can't compare, or can you compare, I guess, the Thunder to the Lakers? And this is what LeBron had to say. So, I mean, again, LeBron being a former champion, LeBron being one of the greatest of all time, obviously everybody would have the thought process that he's just being honest. He's been on a championship team. He's been on multiple championship teams, and maybe he just doesn't feel that vibe from this Laker team. I think there's a lot of fans of the NBA that kind of feel the same vibe. There's not a lot of favoritism, or there's not a lot of hope there for this Laker team this season, especially going against teams that are as deep and as chemistry driven as the Oklahoma City Thunder and many of these other West Conference teams. I mean, it is going to be an uphill battle for the Lakers. We knew this going in. Luka's not the best defensive player, and pairing him with LeBron, although looks great on the offensive side of the ball and definitely on paper, doesn't help defensively. And I know we are living in a world of sports where offense means everything. Well, in certain situations, we just saw in the NFL, defense still does win championships. Don't get that twisted. There are many reasons why the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots made to the Super Bowl. But one of the biggest reasons, and I think the biggest reason, was the consistency from both of their defenses, which you also saw throughout that game, although everybody called it a Snoresville. I kind of disagree. I'm a defensive-minded guy, so I liked that football game on Sunday. And to be honest, it just showed you and showcased exactly why both of those teams were in the Super Bowl to begin with. They had tremendous defenses. And just because that's football does not mean you can't compare it to the NBA. The NBA is a very similar situation. It's a very high octane, high speed game today. There's a lot of movement. You heard LeBron say it a couple weeks ago on this show. It's just different. It's a different tempo. And although he is right to a point, he's also wrong. As I told you a couple weeks ago, if he wants to compare it to the 90s, sure. The 90s were a very, very slow, methodical, more physical pace. But if you go back even further than that, to the Magic Johnson days, they were actually faster than you. They were moving the ball more than you. They were actually running up and down the court way more than you. So it really does not compare. But when it came down to the difference between that game and today's game, they still played defense back then. And this Laker team, again, in my personal opinion, the biggest glaring weakness is the defense. Sure, you can outscore people, but can you do that on a 7-game stretch? Can you do that against a team like the Thunder, who know each other better than probably brothers do, and make that a weakness for them? Can you push them to a level they've never been pushed before without that kind of ball? I don't think you can. Personally, I really don't. But then again, I'm a Cavaliers fan. I've been, raised on nothing but defensive ball for the last couple of years, if I'm being honest. And JB Bickerstaff started that. So don't look at me. Actually, really, JB didn't even start that. Mike Brown started that well before him, but we'll get into that on a different day. I'd love to hear from you guys, though. 661-842-2000. Let me know what you guys think. Is LeBron overstating with this? Do you think that this is a little bit too much of a jab against the Lakers? Personally, I don't. I think that there is a level to this that certain players can see, certain players can't. And unless you have won a championship in the NBA, I'm not sure if you are one of those players that can honestly see or know what a championship caliber team is, or the vibe that you need, or just the energy that you need to be able to expend, as LeBron said in this bite, in order to be that team. And maybe he's right. Maybe the Lakers just don't have that, at least not this year. But it also cycles around to the thought process that I brought up on Monday. What does that mean for LeBron's future? Everybody said last time they played in Cleveland, him getting emotional was proving that that was the last time we were going to see him in Cleveland. Highly doubtful, in my opinion. And After hearing John Doss a week ago, I believe I played the audio for you guys already. If I didn't, I'll play it after the break. But John Doss, if you don't know, comes on the Greg Kerr Show right here, KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM every single day from noon to 2. John Doss comes on, I believe, every Wednesday or Thursday on the show. Last week, they got into the conversation of LeBron. John made the point that he's starting to hear around the bend that the move for James Harden may have more implications than people realize, because there is some indication that James could be the missing piece to lure LeBron back to Cleveland for one last dance, as everybody loves to call it now, thanks to Michael. One more dance with the Cleveland Cavaliers and potentially winning a championship for them. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to bear fruit for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have a pretty solid roster right now of young talent. Trading away Darius Garland, as you guys heard me a couple of days ago or a week ago, not the best move in my opinion, but Cleveland sees something in James Harden, and I will concede that James, although gets a lot of grief for being a ball hog, isn't that much of a ball hog anymore. Now, and I will preface that anymore, but we will see what Cleveland's able to do. They have been catapulted by Vegas to the top of the Eastern Conference the likelihood of winning the Eastern Conference and the betting odds, I should say. So Vegas, as I say on this show a lot, knows a ton more than we do about these things. Maybe they see something that I don't, and maybe Cleveland makes a resurgence in the East and pushes all the way to the finals. That's the really only way I see them actually pulling off this trade or making it seem like it was a valuable trade to make happen. I loved Darius Garland. I think a lot of people in Cleveland love Darius Garland. We all were upset that he couldn't stay healthy a lot the last couple of years, but I think that what he had done for the team and what he was really, the ceiling he had, would have made this a little bit easier for Cleveland down the line to just mesh together. Plus, the core four was just a really cool idea, in my opinion. But again, that's me just getting in as a Cavaliers fan, so I won't bore you guys with that. Let's take a break real quick. We'll get our guy 24KG in here and get these technical difficulties figured out. Can you hear me now, my friend? Are you nod yes or no? No, he cannot. So yeah, let's figure this out. We will get to all the rest of the stories on the other side of the break. Plus, tons to talk about in the world of wrestling. And since we have our guy KG here all day, we will be able to talk about that. So if you're a wrestling fan, this might be the show for you today. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.
The Early Bird Special is your new wake-up sports and entertainment show you needed.
With an American wireless company that supports our vets in a big way and keeps all their customer service in this country. That's important. And you'll be on the same towers the big carriers use, so you'll get the same 5G service without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and a Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound.
Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. We do have Kimble Woods in with us. Or I'm sorry, not in studio. I almost said in studio. One of these days, we got to get you back in studio, my guy. But I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I
Hey,
got that.
hey, I hear you.
Uh, my friend, good morning.
Top of the morning to you, Chris.
Sir, I just got through talking about LeBron, so I want to get your thoughts on this because I know you are a loose Laker fan.
Yeah, very
I am
accurate.
first, what are your thoughts on LeBron James calling this Laker team not a championship contender? I mean, I know what I said about it. I haven't really seen them really reach that level this season at all of what we were hoping to see this year from them. And he may not be wrong on this, but do you think the Lakers have a chance to turn this around at all?
No, not right now. Not this deep into the season. There's still potential. The team could come together and gel without LeBron. We've seen it before. But him saying this isn't a championship caliber team, he kind of does have a point. If you base it off experience, what we've seen LeBron go through over the years, the frustration that he will vent
Right.
to owners, GMs, coaches, pieces that have been moved around for him, favoritism, even the nepotism in this aspect. You know what I mean? It's not surprising, not
So
surprising at all.
Well, that's what I said. I mean, LeBron himself, obviously being on multiple championship teams, you would assume knows or at least learned something from his time in Miami with Pat Riley and all those guys of what it takes to be a championship contender. So I trust him in that regard. But is it smart of LeBron though? Let's put it this way: is it smart of LeBron really to criticize this Laker team? Because again, they built it for you at one point. Now, granted, the last year they've kind of moved away from that and showed they were moving away from that and moving more towards building around Luka. But this team was built around you. You got to one championship, which was the bubble year. And every other year outside of that seems to have just been hair pulling frustration, either for the Buss family or the Lakers or Laker fandom. So is it smart of LeBron to continue to criticize the Lakers in this way, in your opinion?
I, I would have to say hell to the no.
No. Yeah, I'm thinking the
And
same thing.
seriously, it's not like it's just I think people might be a little taken off because they haven't seen this from LeBron in a while.
Right.
We have.
I mean, it seems like it's just a LeBron thing at this point now. Like the last couple of years, for some reason, he has just been more vocal. Maybe he just feels as the grizzled vet at this point in his career.
Yeah.
Maybe he's able to do that. And in some respects, he should hold the respect and ability to be able to do that. But it just seems so counterproductive to me that we're seeing LeBron do stuff like this, or at least say stuff like this when you're trying to at least compete for a championship. But if your team hears you come out and say, we got no shot, this team doesn't have the energy to do that. I mean, some players sure might take that as a little bit of a chip on the shoulder and say, oh, okay, Bron, you think that we're that bad? Let's see what we can do then. But there's going to be a lot of players that are just going to say, God, LeBron's white. We suck. We're not going to beat the Thunder.
Yeah.
How are we going to beat the Thunder?
Some people are going to be personally motivated. Some people will feel threatened. Some players
Right.
will feel challenged. It's all, I'd have to say, for someone who's not up on the situation, who's just a casual, sports viewer that doesn't get into the weeds of the business, so to speak.
Mhm.
If let's just say if this was Kobe, it would be different because his track record is different. His
True.
championship winning pedigree for Los Angeles would be different, be a
True.
comparison. So if we hold it to the standard of that in this modern era, I don't think LeBron has the room to complain right now.
So
Like the points you just made, this team was facilitated and structured around what you deemed would be the best fit for you and your play style to win championships in Los Angeles. And since that isn't happened, all of a sudden it's a problem that you're being vocal about.
right.
Needless to say, I would have to disagree on the entirety of the situation, but the reality is he's right, but how he's going about it just
He's
isn't
wrong.
that very professional at that
So
time. He's got more days behind him than he does ahead, and I sense that desperation in those comments of
mm,
why he's saying that. He wants to win. He wants to go out a champion. so to
Mhm.
speak.
So, okay, in that same light then, as you brought up, comparing this to Kobe, if LeBron said this about if LeBron was still playing in Cleveland or Miami and said it about those teams, do you think it would have held more weight? You know,
Yeah, because they're not Los
or think
Angeles.
differently?
They would have moved heaven and earth to,
Make
accommodate
sure
and
it worked.
appease.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
I could definitely see that. That's just because again, the Kobe comparison is a great comparison because you're right. Kobe's words carried way more weight than LeBron's do, but it's just the love that that city had for Kobe. Kobe was
yeah.
there the entirety of his career and gave everything to the Lakers.
And as a Laker fan, loosely, when things,
Yeah, loose.
yeah, loosely,
He's also a loose Dodger fan. Everybody,
Yeah, you know what I mean? We're not going to commit to anything right now, I'm just saying, but
which is
we have
hilarious
to
to
look at,
say, saying where the
we
Dodgers are today.
yeah, we have to look at it like this. Um, like you just said, Kobe gave everything.
Yes,
LeBron, he doesn't have that command of presence for them to, I'd have to say, really feel like they need to do anything in Los Angeles other than move him along. You know, there's a consensus from Los Angeles Laker fans that LeBron came in as the savior of the franchise.
at the
Uh,
time.
yes, and that arrogance, that hey, I'm your end all be all on the court, didn't rub a lot of people the right way. A
Hmm.
lot of people seeing the resurgence in population and popularity, excuse me, in Los Angeles when he came over there, and over the years, that interest, that focal point, that white hot, we're on the tip of a championship cusp, has cooled off every year that's gone by since the bubble, and
Yeah.
it's become more apparent that there are some things in LA that need to be fixed. And I've noticed, I'm just saying, that sometimes when LeBron isn't there, it kind of fixes itself.
Yeah.
The players
No,
gel a
I
little
agree.
better. The coaches get their calls across. The offense is running screens that I would have to say look a little better without LeBron sometimes. And
You know,
most
it's
Laker fans that have seen those games that they've won can agree, but it's all subject to opinion, and that opinion is based on fact, and that fact is based on wins. And do they have enough? I don't think they do.
not at the moment, but I mean, it's funny you say that because there hasn't been a lot of JJ Redick slander this year. If you notice,
Mm,
the last 2-3 years when he got signed as the head coach, and everybody said, "Oh, he's just signed because he's LeBron's buddy because they have a podcast together." I was one of the first people to say, "You guys don't know who you're talking about, brother. This is
yeah,
JJ Redick, one of the most basketball IQ knowledgeable people I have ever seen on a television screen. Like this man knows ball." So even if LeBron helped him get the foot in the door, which I'm not denying probably happened, I do not think the Lakers made the wrong decision hiring JJ Redick as a head coach. I think that he's going to be a great head coach. Honestly, he really reminds me of the Jason Kidd days when he first came in as a head coach. There was a lot of discrepancy thinking Jason doesn't have any history. There's no way. And he has been pretty consistent since his, first couple years as a head coach. And honestly, one of the more coveted head coaches in the league. So I think JJ is just moving down the same route. And I'm glad to see that everybody's backed off of him and stopped with that whole, oh, he's only LeBron James's buddy moniker. That was just really dumb. Real quick
I agree with you.
before we shift into some TKO stuff, my friend, after the break, we brought up baseball a little bit when it came to your Dodgers there, but ESPN just announced something that I have to highlight and get your thoughts on because this is just getting ridiculous. And a lot of talking head shows have brought this up and talked about it the last couple days. ESPN now has a new bundle for baseball that they
Oh
are
God, here we
releasing.
go.
Okay. It is $150 yearly to watch quote unquote out of market games. Any out of market game that is going to be, I believe, on MLB TV, or really, I believe it could even be as far as any out of market game that you are a fan of. So if you, like myself, are in California and you are a fan of a team that's out of state, as I am with the Philadelphia Phillies, you can pay $150 to watch the Philadelphia Phillies in California. It's something that baseball fans have been crying for forever, and football fans still to this day are crying for in the NFL packages. So, at first glance, wouldn't that seem like a great idea, Kimble? Like, I mean, I think that's a smart thing here, right?
At first glance. And I
At
think that
first glance.
if I think I know where you might be going or where this might be going, I
Well,
think we tried this with, I believe, NFL red zone packages and
yep.
all these things down the line a few years back, and we've seen how that worked out.
Here's
Market changes and everything else kind of fudged it up.
Yes, and here's the critical thing that ESPN's not telling you though. You still have to pay the $30 a month. You
Okay, see
still have
that
to pay the $30 a month for the ESPN app and all of their stuff. So now your $150 purchase for baseball just went up to $510
it's
for
not
the
worth it.
year. It
Not worth it.
Well, again, that is up to interpretation. Some people tell me it's worth it. Some people tell me it's not. I'm under the impression that if you have the money for it, go for it. I'm not going to push anybody towards the platform. I'm not, because personally,
Nah.
I find this to be money grabbing, absolute ridiculous BS. I can't remember his name, but I watch this guy all the time with his clips, and his producer made a perfect point. There is nothing for the fans anymore in any
Nah.
sport. Not even wrestling anymore is for the fans. It is all about the Benjamins and how much
The
money
profit.
they can suck out of you. And ESPN
Now
is never going to stop. It's
now,
never going to
Chris,
stop, Kimble.
this is one thing that just popped in my head right now. How does this affect the local sports bar market from
That's a
people
good
like
question, too.
businesses? We could even say the Dave and Buster's and so forth on a
Yes.
national level, a local level. How are they going to be affected by, let's just say, some of their highest incomes come off of game days?
Yes.
Sundays, Thursdays, Fridays, whatever it may be. They
Yeah.
have to
Highest
pay
profit days.
they have to pay for those rights to air games in their facilities. We're seeing this
Exactly.
go on right now with TKO and WWE and how they're preventing local bars in Las Vegas from airing WrestleMania to drive up ticket sales. Most of these people get paid to host or facilitate watch parties. Now, exclude that. That's just the wrestling side of these things have happened. Watch parties for sports since the inception of. People go to local pubs, bars, whatever it may be. And I don't think most of those guys, unless they're franchised, much like a Dave and Buster's or whatnot, are going to pay it. And even that might be subject to be renegotiated because of the fiscal new year that comes around, tax season. Are
Right.
they operating in the black or the red?
See,
And either way, they're all trying to get the green. And this is where we lose out as fans.
Oh, 100. And I mean, you brought up TKO, which is a perfect example. We've talked about it with you multiple times. This partnership between the WWE, UFC, and everything, and the creation of TKO, although seems really nice, they still have $4 billion in debt. And that's from September of last year. So I'm sure it's dwindled down a little bit since then, but $4 billion they have to figure out how to pay back before anything changes. And let's be honest, by that time, they're not going to change a dang thing. They're
No,
just going to keep the prices where they're at, or they're going to keep going upwards just because they have already proven that
they
you
can.
will pay for it. Like
And that
it's
it guts
ridiculous.
the sport. It guts the sport
It does.
wholeheartedly.
And going
It extracts the fun or jubilance that you would have
right,
suspending your reality to indulge or engulf yourself in the world of that sports
right.
broadcast that you've been waiting to see.
Right. And piggybacking off the point you were making or the question that you were bringing up, how does this affect local sports bars or just really sports bars across the country? We heard from our very own owner of Dionysus on Friday, Mr. Kyle Pitzer. He brought it up as well that he just got done with the legal agreement with the WWE to actually be able to play all of the PLEs at his facility. I mean, you have to go through a ton of hoops and ridiculous things just to be able to play these games on these specific days. You can't just buy the NFL package and they give you the okay to play the NFL package at your bar. That's not how it works. You have to actually
Yeah,
go through the NFL and get an agreement from them, a copyright agreement, if you will, to actually play the games there, which is even more money. So
yeah.
at what point are we just going to be able to put our foot down as the consumer and as the fan and say, this is dumb?
As
Why are
long as
we
people
doing
can
this
afford it,
anymore?
as long as people can afford it, they're going to do it. But once those
Yeah.
gaps become greater than the consumer can, I'd have to say, jump across to, and that's from any status of where you are financially as a person. Most people have responsibilities. Are your groceries going to trump, you watching baseball? $150 to $500 just for out of market games is ridiculous, Chris.
It's
I'm
stupid.
sorry. I can't condone that. And I think it's a botch move by MLB analysts and whoever their commercial pushers are. You got those people that come in there and give those meetings and pitch this and that, and all it's going to be great. And for them to collectively agree on this as an organization, I think is
Well,
the
again,
dumbest thing ever. And
they're
it's
doing
already
that.
like the sport's already dying,
That's my point. That's the
literally.
exact point I was just about to bring up. I'm glad you said that because that's why they're doing this. They're literally doing everything they can to keep the sport alive and get on the television stations they know people are going to watch it, which is ESPN.
I got an
ESPN is
idea
the
of how
mecca.
they could keep the sport alive, Chris. Just hear me out on this. Follow me.
What's that?
How about we stop paying some of these players $4.6 billion from these owners who are
Hey,
literally
brother.
just right out the back pocket. Here's 300 million for a year. Most
Look,
people
bro.
will never see that in their entire life, even as
That's
a professional sports athlete.
You
So
don't
let's
realize
put a
how
salary
quickly we
cap.
are. I don't know if you
Yeah.
realize how quickly we are from that being a thing, my friend, because the owners, I mean, that's been the talking point of the MLB for the last couple of weeks is the oncoming lockout that we are going to
Look,
get from this
hell,
because
look
owners
what the
can't pay
Dodgers
for
did.
this.
Look what the Dodgers did. They paid for a championship. I'll say it. They went out there and paid for the best players that money could buy. And since there's no limit on what money can buy in that aspect, that's where we're at.
And you know what's
And
funny?
a lot of
They
teams will follow suit, but they just can't keep up. And
and
collectively, as a league, I think it's going to be the downfall of the MLB viewership.
Oh, but see, here's the thing though. The Dodgers ownership has been able to make all of that back already and donate to all of the
Jesus.
people who were affected by the fires here in California the last couple years.
Sounds sweet, don't it?
It's that I'm telling you, man, Mark Walter, we'll get into the women's hockey game yesterday too cuz US absolutely slapped Canada across the face again and I'm
Tell me about
so
it.
here for it.
Tell me about it.
I am so here for it, man.
I'm going to get my poutine ready for that.
I'm telling you, brother. I tried to bring this up yesterday because I know it's the Winter Olympics, and for most Americans, the only thing you had heard from the Winter Olympics was Lindsey Vonn.
Yeah.
But come on, we got to go support these women's hockey players, man. They are crushing it. I loved that
Yeah.
game yesterday. It was so much fun to watch. We'll get into that at some point. Real quick, though, we are running out of time before we have to hit our break. I brought up Tom Aspinall. We already talked about TKO. This entire thing with Aspinall is getting a little bit it's taken him too long to get this surgery. He should have done it straight out, in my personal opinion. But it's taken too long for the UFC, in my opinion, to really do anything about this. I hope Cyril never gets another shot at Tom. But if you weren't watching this fight back in October, it was a blatant eye poke to both eyes, which caused the
Oh,
fight to
yeah.
stop. He has permanent vision damage because of this.
Oh.
Like, it's not a good look for the UFC whatsoever that your heavyweight champion has to get surgery on both eyes. Like I said, I talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the show when you couldn't hear me, my friend. But before we shift over to their matchmaking event or their matchmaking meetings yesterday for the event at the White House, what are your thoughts on Aspinall and this entire battle he's been having to just get his eyesight back?
Nobody ever wants to see somebody go down due to injury, especially via one that happened through dirty pool.
Oh,
You know,
it was a dirty play.
now, now, like for the eye gouge, I would have to say this is where UFC TKO needs to crack down on some on the rules being enforced in a major way for these type of things. Now, accidental eye pokes, we could go back and see a couple of those throughout the history of UFC under review.
Yeah,
Okay, we
this
always see the replay, but this was blatant. This
and you
guy,
can't sit there and say you weren't aiming for it. You hit both
yeah.
eyes, dude.
Okay,
Like,
now, just to quote Ric Flair, well, not quote him, but we've seen how the eye poke or Kevin Nash, the finger poke of doom, can literally cripple someone's career. This is a case
yeah,
where it literally happened. So this guy needs to be reprimanded thoroughly to the full extent of the UFC's capability.
if it hasn't
But
already.
the thing is, we know it's a combat sport. We know it's bloody, it's dangerous, it's violent. People have gathered in masses to watch sport since the gladiator days. No different is this. But at the same time, if a prized fighter, a draw, someone who has showmanship that brings your company mega millions is injured blatantly, then this guy has to pay the consequences professionally,
And
financially, and
so,
sit. I'm not saying his professional career should be toasted,
oh, I
but
am.
there should be some kind of reprimand, And
See,
if he has a history of this, then of course, by all means, kick him out of business. There's other. Hey, he can go to bare knuckle fighting championship and go fight the juggernaut and get his teeth knocked down his throat. If that's what you like to do, there's places that aren't as safe as UFC that don't have the insurance and medical staff accessibility as UFC, and you can go out there and poke the hell out of anybody. Hell, poke
right.
the bear. As my man would say, send them to Dagestan 2-3 years and forget.
See, I know you're not calling for his career, but I'm sorry, I am. From everything that I've read about this guy, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a loose UFC fan, but I do follow. I didn't know a whole ton about Gane coming into this fight, but I did hear that he was a dirty fighter. So I knew something along the lines of this was possible. And since this happened, the UFC has come out and said the referees will be clamping down on eye poking, but that's not what I mean. That's not punishment. In my opinion,
Yeah,
if you know this guy's dirty, you know this guy does dirty tactics, and
bar him from the sport.
he just pretty much almost blinded your heavyweight champion, one of your biggest names out there right now. And he almost took him off the board for his entire career because if you can't see, you can't fight. I'm sorry.
And
That's
who's to
kind of
say he's ever going to be the same after that? Yeah, I agree. I agree
exactly.
with you, Chris.
So, no, in my personal opinion, unless I hear, and again, if you guys know any more about this than we do, please feel free to chime in 661-842-2000 and tighten me up.
You getting me fired up, bro. My,
But
my coffee ain't
this
even
guy
cooled
needs to
off
be
yet,
known.
man.
This guy, TKO,
Literally.
needs to make an entire example out of this and say, bing, gone. You can go fight in Bellator for all we give a dang. Real quick, though, before
Not
we head over,
Bellator.
UFC did have their matchmaking meetings for the White House event that's supposed to be taking place on June 14th. They have not announced who will be on the card, although there is heavy speculation that Justin Gaethje and Ilya Tapura will be taking each other on that day. Most likely to unify the lightweight championship belt, which will be really fun to watch as well. But there have been some pretty big names that have come out and said that they would come out of retirement for this, including guys like Conor McGregor and John Jones. Do you think we see names like that in fights during this card at the White House, or will we just see them make appearances? Because something about this event makes me believe that the UFC is going to take this and make it a show, like make this as close to
Oh
WrestleMania
yeah,
as they possibly can.
I definitely agree. We'll probably see some veterans, some from the sport, some all stars make some appearances or whatnot. But this is also, it's crazy that this is even happening at the White House. This is a proving ground for the sport's up and coming fighters. This is a chance for them to make their name in a nationally viewed pay per view and put themselves on the map, much like those guys that you just mentioned did and had the opportunity to in their career. And in a time where we're so bombarded and fixated visually on sports, behind the scenes, athleticism, training, BTS footage, this is a golden goose egg for somebody who we're not aware of, who's probably has the potential of a Conor McGregor or John Jones that literally could make their name, their career in one night with this PLE, or excuse me, not PLE pay per view. And I wouldn't doubt that UFC revisits this in the future, if not at the White House annually or somewhere else of great importance. You know what I
So
mean? Because I never would have thought in 1,000 years that we would have a UFC fight from Washington D.C.'s White House
I
property.
don't think anybody did.
This
I
was not
think
on my bingo card for 2026, 27, or 28.
Not at all. But again, when we heard about this last year, I was very interested to see if they were going to be able to get this cleared at all, just because of the security. I assume that you would have to have for this would be otherworldly. But
Well, they've got
in
all
this,
that room over there since they knocked down the half of the
yeah,
White House. They got plenty of
building up
parking
that
space.
ballroom. uh,
Yeah.
The thought that came into my head, though, because I like the idea that you bring up that this might be a really good time for Dana White to showcase some of the younger talent, especially out of America, that could be on this card. Do you think that this card is going not be exclusively Americans, because obviously Ilia Tapura is not an American, but do you think that the vast majority of these fights, though, will be an American against somebody else just solely because of where it's being taken place?
Yes and no. I say yes now because this is the initial kickoff of what it is. And if they do another one of these around 4th of July, then you might as well
Next
file
year,
for
I could totally
trademark.
see it. Or I'm sorry,
And
not next week, probably like 2 years down the line.
yeah, you could file for trademark with WWE since they own that as well and use the Great American Bash because that's what it's going to be.
Can they do that with TKO? Would the partnership be able to pass along the copyright like that?
And they
I
own it.
didn't even consider that. And that's
They
another
own
thing
it.
that they have dangled out there, and I know we're going down a rabbit hole here, though, but is there ever going to be a time where we get that UFC WWE mixed pay-per-view? They've been
They,
dangling that for years since Ronda came
yeah,
over.
yeah. I think with the amount of stars from UFC that have retired that are still athletically active enough to participate in a WWE event, I think it's inching closer to the possibility of happening the more we see. Okay, Ronda was a good example, just kind of turned out bad. Conor
Right.
McGregor, we know he's built for WWE. We know that. The
If he ever wanted to.
yeah, his showmanship, his just character would just bleed all over TV and fit right in like a puzzle piece. DC, he's done things with WWE in the past, so we could see that. But also, you got the greatest success of both of those companies, Brock Lesnar. You know, we've also seen Cain Velasquez get in there and wrestle at a time or
Well,
two.
Shamrock. Don't forget
You know,
Shamrock.
oh yeah, we can't forget Ken Shamrock, but also, hey, Dan the B Severin. These things have happened over the years, and we've inched closer and closer to a cliff that they're
Yeah,
going to
but
jump
like,
off, and it's either going to fly or it's going to die. That's
see, but
that's
I
it.
think we
Simple.
have we have so many multi-talented wrestlers now that are mixed martial artists that you could pull this
Yeah,
off. We could have like
definitely.
Lola. Lola was a former UFC fighter or MMA fighter. I don't know if she
Indeed.
was ever in the UFC,
Yes.
but Lola was
Shayna
a former
Baszler.
UFC fighter. Shayna Baszler, Damian Priest. I mean,
Yeah.
Aleister Black. All of these guys have backgrounds in mixed martial arts. So even if you wanted to
Specifically
make it
cage fighting.
yeah, if you wanted to make it a wrestling thing, you could totally make it a wrestling thing, or we could straight up exactly cage fight it. It would be pretty interesting to watch, and I'd be willing to bet a lot of those wrestlers would get in the ring with a lot of these fighters. Now, would they last? That's to be seen. That's definitely to be seen. But I've been shocked before. You never know when it comes to a fight, man. It's all about the drive and how these people can land those punches. Let's take a break.
Yeah.
On the other side, we'll get into a little bit of wrestling news. There's some interesting news, I guess, out of the camp of Bianca Belair and her injury. I
Yeah.
am hopeful that this is a good thing and we're going to be seeing her resurge here, hopefully by WrestleMania, maybe.
I would hope. I would hope.
But we'll talk about that and the resurgence of her husband Montez Ford and his tag team partner at a NXT event. And Montez put on some weight, my boy. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. This is the
Yeah.
early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.
Call or text into the Early Bird Special at 661-842-2000.
Are the rising waters of expenses
Welcome back. Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. We got about 5 minutes till we take our break and get to the hour 2 of the show. And don't miss out, 8:30 as usual. Ryan Holt from the Bakersfield Condors will be joining us, talk about their last couple games against the Rain and their upcoming games against the Gulls. Plus, it's AHL All-Star Week. Yeah, that's a little bit of a hard thing to say there for me for some reason. Not 100% sure, but we do got our guy 24 kg in the building with me today, so we got to talk a little wrestling. Obviously, I mean, anytime I can sit here and talk to my guy KG is a beautiful day. But when wrestling is involved, there's plenty to talk about. And we've been talking about this woman for a long time, and hopefully her resurgence, and that's Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair, for some reason, I am not 100% sure what happened with the knuckle situation. She broke a knuckle and it is or has failed to heal properly. And that is what has led to this. She's been out for almost a year. And it's even gotten to the point where they're considering not bringing her back at all. The thing, though, that I keep seeing here is she's supposed to make at least an appearance at WrestleMania 42 in Vegas in a couple months. If that is the case, I can only assume that means that Jade Cargill will be making her resurgence as well. Or I'm sorry, not her resurgence as well. Jade Cargill will be getting set up for a storyline with Bianca at some point. And that means that we're finally going to get the match that we've been waiting for God, well over a year. And finally a championship contender that might be able to actually take on Jade Cargill and beat Jade Cargill, because that's one of the biggest problems that we've seen on SmackDown the last couple months is Jade really hasn't had any contender, hasn't had anybody to really go up against. Their girl Tiffy, and that wasn't a good look for them either. I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be a good thing for the WWE, if it's going to be a bad thing. I hate when these people come back rushed, because usually when they come back rushed, it is so much worse. It is so much worse than you would think. And especially when it comes to a hand injury, a knuckle injury, these things are really tricky to come back from. I mean, the Jade Cargill story has been the physical monster that she is, becoming pretty much the Mark Henry of this generation, in my opinion. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's just one of those situations where we need to wait and see what this powerhouse of a woman is able to do. Now, you have heard guys like Kimble and many others on this show say that she could be a little unsafe. That has been, rumored to be true in certain aspects of the game. She has injured a couple people she's gone up against. But in this situation, I think you kind of have to do it. You kind of have to push forward, and you kind of have to make this thing happen. My friend, can you hear me now? I'm sorry. I've been trying to fix the camera angle at the same time. Looks like we lost Kimble once again. I apologize, folks. We'll get him back in here during the second hour of the show. I'm not sure what's going on with our streaming system today. It has been back and forth, and I'm not enjoying it whatsoever. But for you wrestling fans out there are some good things to look forward to in WrestleMania, especially if we get Bianca Belair back for this entire run. I like the idea, but as I just said, it's a really sticky situation when you have these people come back early from injuries. They're still athletes, and they work incredibly hard. You can't force these injuries. You can't force people back from these injuries and expect them to be as good as they were beforehand. So I'm hoping and praying Bianca's able to figure this out. I'm hoping and praying that we get some sort of challenger and some sort of contender for Jade Cargill, the current champion of the women's division on SmackDown. I just don't know if rushing her back is going to be the right move. I really don't. We'll get KG's thoughts on this on the other side, and we'll try to figure out this entire technical difficulty. We apologize. But this is the Early Bird Special. Stick with us. Ryan Holt from the Bakersfield Condors will be joining us as well on the other side of the break. This is the Early Bird Special.
Stay connected with the Early Bird Special by finding us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and even TikTok. Then catch us live.
Jeremy Gunn, former soccer athlete and coach at CSUB, and now a 3-time national champion head coach. Chest and the Jockey Club, which is a local organization that has been recognizing local student athletes for over 60 years. Join us on Wednesday, February 11th for the 59th annual Bob Elias Kern County Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony at Luigi's Warehouse. Doors open at 5:30 with social hour, dinner, and the induction. Tickets and corporate sponsorships available right now at kcsportshalloffame.org. That's kcsportshalloffame.org. See you on February 11th.
Hands can do incredible things. This is the sound of 326 hands playing Mozart. This is the sound of 10,942 hands showing appreciation. Hands swimming a triathlon. 18 hands.
It's time for the Early Bird Special, satisfying all of your sports cravings. Call the show or text us at area code 661-842-2000. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Welcome back. The Early Bird
Indeed.
here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. Got to test something real quick. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I don't know what's going on with our stream. Every time Sparky's not here, the streaming service loves to make me look dumb. And that's why y'all hear me stutter sometimes when I'm trying to set up a story. And it bugs
Multiple
me.
things going on, man. You're a multitask master. You're doing a great job.
I'm juggling, man. I'm trying to make this thing work for everybody. But
shout out to Sparky. We miss you. We appreciate you. You know, on the board, and not only on the board, but just in general. We miss
Sparky
you.
is the integral piece of this show. Are you kidding? He makes this thing run. That is the man right there. That is the man, the myth, the legend, Steven Sparky Nicholas right there. And you can hear him on Big
in the flesh
as well. Big FM. Go check it out. So I teed it up a little bit before the break, my friend, but Bianca Belair, the news now that we are hearing is that she is going to be returning probably around WrestleMania 42, most likely to set up a match or at least a storyline with the champion Jade Cargill, a story that we've all been kind of waiting to iron itself out for a year. I don't know, at least what I've been saying, I don't know if this is a smart idea. From what we've understood about her injury, it's a broken finger or a knuckle area that didn't heal properly and is even to the point where she may not be able to use it properly again, period, in a wrestling form. So is this a safe idea? Or is this the WWE just saying we desperately need our stars back on that show, so we need her back? And she doesn't really have a choice.
I would have to say a little bit of both. You know, this ongoing injury that she's been nursing for the past year and some change has really stifled creative plans in the women's division. Not only that, due to the complications of her rehabilitation, I don't think working with Jade would be quite safe right now. Nonetheless, do we know whom or how she got the injury? You know, was it with someone in a match? Was it a training situation? I'm going to have to do some digging on that. If you guys know, go ahead and lighten us up right there in the comments and educate us a little bit in that thread. But as far as I know, this has been something that potentially could have kept her just not just out of the ring in general for a while, but ended her career. Could still be an end to her career. So hopefully, with rehab and corrective surgeries and everything that she's been through in the last year, I've read a report that said she's in good spirits, but it's been immensely difficult through this healing process. And WWE, they've got some of the best doctors and physicians and access to the best medical care worldwide. So hopefully, let's just say things fall into place. Anything would be better than what we're getting now with Jade Cargill. 100+ days, no title defenses.
So ridiculous.
It's literally devaluing the women's title right now.
And at this point, it's kind of getting weird with the whole Jordan Grace thing. Like, are we ever going to actually get to see these two wrestle, or are they going to become a tag team? Like, I really don't know which direction the WWE is pushing this, especially after the join up against Liv last Friday, where they both looked like they were essentially on the same page and were the same person. So I don't know exactly what the story or the trajectory of where they're going to be taking Jade Cargill will be. But I don't know. I'm more concerned with Bianca. I'm more concerned with the future of Bianca Belair because she is one of the WWE and wrestling's best. And if you force her back too early and that knuckle, either causes her to get injured again, or God forbid, causes her to injure someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is always obviously going to be a concern. I don't know exactly how deep the injury is or how in depth we can get about it, but I do hope to see her back soon. I just hope they don't push this too far. I hope they just don't, hurry her back too quickly. And then on the other side of this, her husband, Montez Ford, and his tag team partner, Angelo Dawkins, made their how long has it been since we've seen them? I mean, because I don't want to call it a
Months,
resurgence, but it has been some
months.
time since we've seen the Street Profits. They showed up on an NXT live show of all places, and it looks like Montez has gained like, what would you say, 30 pounds?
At least.
Like, and it was so bad he couldn't even get his jacket off the other night. He had to have Angelo take it off for him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were playing that up a little bit, but the majority of that was not exaggerated. Um, I really don't know. This is still very fresh. So, I see online they call him Thick Tez Ford,
Yes,
you
I
know.
saw that as well.
And since we've seen him reappear, we can honestly rule out that he has been none of the masked men that have been interfering in the match due to this seismic weight gain. But it kind of reminds me of Randy Orton, the size that he's put on. We know that this guy deals with bodybuilding in the off
I
season.
did bring that up.
Even during the regular season, him and his wife Bianca, they participate in stuff like that. Maybe he's coming off of a dirty bulk, whatever the terms may be in IBF, bodybuilding, however it goes. Or maybe he really took in his time off. WWE gives you no offseason now with a bloated roster. They can kind of rotate talent to give them time off to heal,
They
relax.
need it.
There aren't as many house shows anymore. They went from doing 300 house shows a year to 100 and maybe 50 now, and those are spread out through NXT and other things of that nature. So I would have to say, like, if the Street Profits are coming back, which we're seeing, it's kind of a good sign for Bianca Belair.
Do you think that?
Nonetheless,
Do you think this will finally be the moment where they pair them together? Because that has
I
also
would hope
been.
so.
I've been waiting for them to do a faction between the Street Profits and Bianca forever because they are the same. Like their gimmicks fit perfectly. Bianca is the former track star, gymnast, like athlete, and Montez and Angelo fit that as well perfectly. Former athletes. Montez is the high flyer. Angelo is the big boy that absolutely just runs through people. They would all work incredibly well together.
That ship has come and gone out of the dock so many times. I would hope at least this time they allow the fans to board the ship and
Right.
enjoy the scenery, of
I
what
agree.
could be. Even if it's just temporarily, I don't think it could hurt the product.
I don't think
Nonetheless,
so either.
it would give WWE a shot in the arm of something fresh. They need that right now.
They do. And the other news that I saw out of this, or out of the tag team division at least, is did you hear that there is now heavy speculation that Johnny Gargano will be following his former tag team partner to AEW and his wife as well when their contracts are over?
I wouldn't be surprised. They're highly underutilized, and just recently, since Tommaso Ciampa's departure, have they been? And it's for stupid reasons. The creative that he's been given has just been stupid. This
Mm,
guy is the Daniel Bryan class wrestler, and his greatest run was NXT Black and Gold since he's been called up to the main roster. And they even botched that. When these guys were in a feud against each other, they put them in a tag team together, which totally killed their storyline.
yeah.
It's not surprising.
Honestly,
Definitely not. Ciampa goes to the AEW, and within a 2 week span, he becomes a champion and is
that's
engulfed in a great feud with Kyle. What's the dude?
Fletcher. Fletcher, that's the one
Fletcher.
coming up.
There we
Yeah.
go, Kyle Fletcher. And why wouldn't he at this point? Literally, you're taking up contract space, and he sees the writing on the wall. This guy's phenomenal. No pun intended to AJ Styles, but he's one of those AJ Styles caliber wrestlers. He has the potential to be that if utilized correctly in any federation that he's a part of. So
100%.
kudos to him if that's the case, especially with his wife, Candice LeRae, who made the what's the move that Cedric does, that backbreaker bounce thing, the lumbar check.
Oh, yep.
She made the lumbar check viral. When he gave her one of those lumbar checks in an independent match, it went viral. It
Yeah.
was one of the reasons why Cedric Alexander was scouted for NXT. I don't see why they couldn't recreate some of that elsewhere, whether it's TNA, AEW. The potential that these people have had in
Right.
WWE has not been touched for years, since the NXT days. So I hope, greener pastures are in this man's future endeavors.
I agree with you, but I think that that style of wrestling, it's a no-no at the WWE level now. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think
definitely.
we'll ever see that again. The
Yeah.
Randy Orton's RKOing Stephanie, I don't think that'll ever happen again. Now you'll
Well, I
have,
think WWE's just had a nerf to move set for independent
yeah,
wrestlers in general that have come in that do those kind of risky spots. Their style is mainstream. We can honestly say
yeah.
that. So matches like that, we're not going to see.
No,
Not even in
and
TNA right now with the intergender wrestling that they do. We're not going to see those type of things anymore
closest
like
thing you'll
that.
see to that is the intergender tag team matches in AAA. I think is probably the
Yeah,
closest
that's
you'll
it.
see to that. But even then, they do a great job at, as soon as the female wrestler's in, the other female wrestler is in. The male does not
Yeah,
hit the female. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a bad look. So I understand why they don't do that type of stuff or the risky moves that indie wrestlers are known for, but it is just that style of wrestling now for the WWE. Like, they could have easily given us Penta and EO years, or when Penta first came in, or Penta and Chelsea at that or for that matter, if they ever wanted to run that back. But I don't think they ever will, just because it's a bad look. And
yeah,
although it gets viral, it's viral for the wrong reasons altogether. I
yeah.
agree that I think Johnny and Candice both will be moving on from the WWE when their contracts are over. But I think that the WWE hinted at something before letting them go, and it happened during that promo. One, it was Johnny being absolutely non-responsive on top of an NXT crate, if you notice that. And
Hmm.
the one person that stopped to almost talk to him was Alex Shelley. And that's not by mistake. For those of you who don't know, Alex Shelley and Johnny Gargano go way, way back. They are, I mean, I think at one point we're indie wrestlers together on certain promotions. And Alex Shelley is one of those guys that is known throughout wrestling. And there's even a story coming out recently that Trey Miguel from the Rascals credits Alex Shelley for being the sole reason he's still in professional wrestling after everything that's gone down in his life and all the negative publicity he's gotten the last couple of years. He has very much said Alex Shelley is the reason he's still wrestling today. I think that there's going to be a Johnny Gargano resurgence storyline that they're going to test first to see if it's going to work in the WWE. And if it doesn't, then they'll make the decision to move on from him. But I think they may send Johnny back to NXT for a short singles run where Alex Shelley could potentially, bring that fire of Johnny wrestling back. And maybe we see the run that Johnny never really got as a singles wrestler. Because like you said, the minute Ciampa became a thing in his life again, they really just threw that to the wayside and said, nah, you guys are DIY. You guys have always been DIY.
Yeah,
That's what we wanted you as. And
yeah.
that's kind of just, now I want to say disrespectful. That's not the right
No,
word
it
to use.
is.
It's
It is.
discrediting.
Yeah. It's both of those. When you look at it, the body of work that they put in on the indies is what got them to WWE. And for that to not be tapped into in some way, shape, or form on the main roster is just a crime. It's an oversight
Right.
of, it's just an oversight. A big one. And nonetheless, I can believe it more so being an egregious to this guy's career when you see stuff like Michael P.S. Hayes and his comments on Chelsea Green, on Unreal, things like this. Some things just don't need to be aired. They need to be handled in house. And I get it. A cut is a cut. A reel is a reel. And we live in that age right now. Speaking of what just came across one of my reels, I see Tom Brady and Logan Paul had a nice little
I did notice
discussion.
that. I did notice
Yeah,
that.
hey, when the GOAT is telling you what you do is cute, chill back, bro.
Yeah.
Logan, chill out. You're a great athlete. We're not discrediting that, but it's a difference of professional wrestling is way different than professional football.
Yeah.
And NFL players will tell you that, hey, wrestling is a lot easier on the body than football, professional football. Guys that have converted
I
over
don't know
from
if
that
that's
sport
true, though.
from the collegiate level all the way to the NFL. I'll send you some clips, bro, where professional athletes who have
That's a
been on
good
both of
argument.
those sides, they say the schedule for professional wrestling, as far as your body being beat up,
Fair. Fair. The amount
is
of workouts you have to do,
yes,
up deep.
way
Yeah.
easier, but that doesn't make it a walk in the park.
No.
The the constant bumps, the on the road, that type of lifestyle does catch up to you physically when you need to rest and recuperate. That's why
Well,
WWE has implemented all these different changes and breaks that they're doing now with roster rotation, which is
right,
smart.
right.
But when somebody's hot and somebody's like just mega hot and you're building a new star, which is what they need to do, you kind of have to give them grace and keep them going. I would say for as long as possible till it matures into something else. I can't really put a thumb on it because we're seeing it in real time play out in front of us. A
Right,
lot of things for the first time with WWE. This
right.
whole merger, how the company's been remolded and shaped. It's it's touch and go. But I'm gonna have to watch the rest of that segment and that clip to see how their conversation went and the energy between those guys.
I agree.
Tom Brady, Logan Paul, headlines were made. We're talking
Oh,
about it
100%.
right now. So, hey, would
100%.
we see Tom Brady do a guest appearance on one of these things? Possibly not.
I don't
But
know if I thought Brady was on the Impulsive podcast once, wasn't he?
no, I'm talking about WWE.
Oh, WWE. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
No, I don't think he would be caught dead in the WWE ring. No way in
yeah,
hell.
not even in the ring, but maybe with the kids in a press box, and hey, there's Tom Brady. Da 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 da. Maybe they have a segment.
It doesn't
I'm
seem like
I'm
his
I'm,
thing.
I'm fantasy booking right now, but yeah, that hey, once again, we're only the second month into this year, and already not on my bingo card.
Not even close. Not even close to my bingo card either. Real quick, we got to take a break here in a little bit to get our guy Ryan Holt in here to talk a little Bakersfield Condors ahead of the AHL All-Star game
Oh
and their two games this
yeah,
weekend against the Gulls. But you brought up Logan Paul. I didn't get a chance to talk about this yesterday, but it does circle around the Super Bowl halftime show and Bad Bunny. His brother Jake Paul goes on social media and trashes the All-Star game, or not the All-Star game, trashes the halftime show. Says that everybody should turn it off, fake American, all blah 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 blah. All the dumb right-wing
the
rhetoric that
hoopla.
we've heard for the last couple weeks about this show. And then Logan comes out and does probably one of the most adult, mature things I've ever seen Logan Paul do, which is
Yeah,
step up and say, I love my brother, but I very much disagree with him on this. Puerto Ricans are Americans, blah, blah, blah. Backs Bad Bunny in this halftime show. How did that make you feel? Do you think that was a genuine statement from Logan Paul? Because there is now rumor from the IWC and many, many others on the internet saying that this is all a setup work for Bad Bunny to come back at WrestleMania and go against Logan.
that would be a perfect time to take advantage of this opportunity because nonetheless, Jake Paul had to walk back those comments
Yes, he did.
and kind of explain and apologize at
Well,
the same time, which was really like just like, come on, bro. You know what I
it's a
mean?
ridiculous
You
thing for him
you
to
already
say.
yeah, you
I
already
mean,
stepped in it.
well,
Obviously you don't know your facts. Puerto Rico's part of America, so for him to say that was just
you claim to be
yeah,
from there. You fly the
yeah,
flag. I'm
they
like,
they live there
come
for the
on,
tax
dude.
exemption. It's for the tax
I
exemption,
know,
bro.
but that's no
Yeah.
reason to sit there and claim fake American or whatever. Like, stop
It
it.
was one of the dumbest things somebody could say. Maybe he's experiencing the first early onset signs of CTE from his boxing career, and maybe something in that
Maybe he
metal
got
jaw
rocked a
of
little bit
his.
too hard.
Yeah, maybe something in that metal jaw of his was picking up a frequency, and he kind of blotted out or something like that. But
Oh
either
no.
way, I think it was a bad move, especially since WWE is definitely looking into if Jake Paul wants to join his brother Logan. We've got a built-in tag team feud with the Usos and anybody else on there. And I don't think, honestly, I'm going to keep it real. I don't think Jake has what it takes to be in WWE, much like his brother does. And we're seeing that in real time. Could
It's
it
a
happen?
different
Yeah, of
level of
course.
athleticism.
We've seen people come into WWE in a sink or swim. Bad Bunny is
Yep.
one of those guys that has swam like a fish and flown like a bird when it comes to getting in the ring. Probably one of the best celebrity musician slash artist, whatever, wrestlers, the hybrid entertainers that we've ever seen. I'm
Oh,
still
100%.
when you see the clips of it, you're like, damn, he really took that serious. He got into shape, he gained weight, he was at the PC, much like Jelly Roll took it very serious. Um, as far as celebrities that have come and gone, though, Bad Bunny might be the best. And this would be a great opportunity to take the megastar, Logan Paul, and all the controversy and things that he's doing for the
Well, and if
company,
the
which have been
WWE,
great.
if the WWE just wants to capitalize on the popularity of the halftime show to
Yeah.
begin with, I mean, almost 130 million viewers for the halftime show alone. There were more viewers for the halftime show than there were for the game itself, I think, if
You
I remember
know,
that
right,
correctly.
right there.
Uh,
But would it be smart? It'd be a good look, but would it be smart? I don't really feel that it would, because Logan is still somewhat fresh to this. Three,
yes.
4 years in, I wouldn't put him in a spot to call a match on the fly. You
No.
know, I still feel like and see that they have whatever the routine, the match pretenses worked out, of course. But until you see or hear him calling moves on the fly, as what happens naturally down the line with wrestlers that we've seen over the years, I wouldn't feel entirely safe on this product being secure and something that the fans would digest. I feel like if it
Do you
is going to
think
be a match between them, they would work this match out, of course, weeks in advance, training, all that other stuff that happens, and it'd probably be one of the biggest draws for a WrestleMania card that WWE has ever had.
compare it though to the Bad Bunny Damian Priest match from Backlash? Are we going to get the same kind of thing here, or is this just going to be two celebrities that are massive, massive wrestling marks? We all know
That was
that,
different.
take it very, very seriously. But I don't mean this in a sense of like a street fight. I'm sorry, but more of
Yeah.
like, is this going to be the quality wrestling, or are you more saying that you just don't see this working out in that area? It's just not going to be that good.
Well, Damian Priest and Bad Bunny was a special circumstance. They were in
Right.
Puerto Rico. It was the first PLE there, I think, in a long time, if ever. You've got Priest, who's of Puerto Rican descent from New York, beloved by the country. Bad Bunny, same thing, beloved by the country. It was a very special element to that match.
Right.
Now, Logan Paul, how he's recepted in Puerto Rico, I have no clue. I, you know what I mean?
Right.
But Priest has more time in the ring, more experience, more generalship on how to be safe and call a match than I feel Logan would. Which
Right. No,
I just
agreed.
wouldn't want to see anybody get hurt. I know these things, of course, we know are pre-scripted, but
Right.
still the athleticism is real. The risk of injury is real. The
Yeah.
risk of ending your career with one wrong step is real.
And you don't want to
And
have that happen to someone like Bad Bunny too. I mean,
at
somebody
all.
on that level. Have we ever had a celebrity sustain a serious injury during a WWE event?
Yeah, Jackass, Johnny Knoxville,
That's
Steve-O, and the
right,
other guy.
Knoxville.
And
Yeah,
they went out there inebriated, and Umaga wore them out like a dirty dish rag.
that's
They were
right.
laughing and not selling, and they got kicked in the head, crushed ribs, and because these guys were on MTV Jackass and everything is a spoof and a joke, they took the move and the spot because they were promoting a movie as a joke, which certain wrestlers don't tolerate that. And Umaga
No,
was a guy that was big on respect in the business. And you can find the clip on YouTube if you type in Umaga, WWE, Steve-O, whatever those prompts, you will find and see these guys getting the ever loving crap kicked down their leg in that segment.
that's crazy. I
And
didn't even. I've
there
totally
were there
forgotten
were
about
no
that.
pulled punches in that. And
And he
also then
still
you got to
came
think
back
about,
too. He
yeah,
still
you
came
also
back
got
for the Sami Zayn match.
yeah, you still got to think about the Drew Carey's and Pete Rose's. Pete Rose took one hell of a tombstone from Kane,
Yes, he
which I
did.
believe, yeah, I believe, which actually gave him a slight concussion at the
Yeah.
rightful age of 62.
Oh my
So
god.
there's something like that. We've seen these things. Hey, MGK, when he actually got kicked in the stomach by Kevin Owens and power bombed off the stage. I'm not saying he ruptured his spleen, but there was something to that we got to go back and look at because he was definitely jacked the hell up.
Oh, and you know what? A text message just came in that reminded me as well. Braun Breaker's spear broke ISO Speed's ribs. I
There you
totally forgot
go.
about that. I
Right
totally forgot
there.
about
It
that.
tore the
Thank you, Red
skin off
Robot.
his leg. There you go.
Absolutely did. You were 110% correct, man. That's always, I guess, a fear for most of these guys. But I guess I just never really pay attention to the celebrity when they leave, if they're actually injured or not. And I just kind of assume it's part of the entire gag. But you would assume, though, out of the entire group we just talked about, Steve-O and Knoxville and all their guys would be able to take that punishment better than anybody. The fact that they walked away with an injury is pretty wild. But Umaga was a completely different animal. Let's be fair.
He was built different, and
Yeah.
wrestlers, their bodies get calloused to the falls and the rings and the
Yep.
move sets
Did you
and
see
what is
Zilla?
being done to them.
Did you see Zilla call out GPW too? Saying
Oh,
the owner was a creep.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
I
that.
don't know exactly what that's about, but I cannot wait to hear what he means by that.
Yeah, I
Because if
seen that
there's
this
something we
morning.
don't know, there's something going on at GPW. I'm not sure. And for those who don't know, that's an independent wrestling promotion, I believe, down in Florida, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Is it
That
GCW or
G-
GP?
I thought it was GP. Is it GPW or GCW?
I
No,
think it
you
might be
might be
GC.
GC. It might be GC. You might be
Yeah.
right. Regardless, it's an independent
Yeah.
wrestling promotion that most people don't know about. It's a stepping stone for a lot of these people to
A
get
feeder
to the
system.
next level. It's a feeder system, exactly. It's a lesser NXT that not a lot of people know
Yeah.
about. But I
Just
heard
think
that and I was
minors
like,
baseball.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know. The entire thing with him and that situation, I can't wait to hear what happened because it seems like there was some ill will or at least some ill intent after he left there. Who knows? But let's take a break. We should get our guy Ryan Holt on the other side, talk a little Bakersfield Condors. Plus, I got to get his thoughts on the women's ice hockey team crushing Canada yesterday, 5-0. Again, if you are not getting patriotic over the Olympics, what are you doing with your life, man? It's the Olympics. It's the one time a year. Well, I shouldn't say one time a year. It's the one time that we can all get together and actually be American and, cheer on other Americans. I know the Winter Olympics are traditionally boring because all it is skiing down hills, but we got ice hockey. Let's get into some ice
Yeah.
hockey.
We got the luge. We
Yes,
got
we do.
bobsledding.
We got bobsledding. We can do all that. Cool Runnings is there. That was a great movie. I
Yeah.
always
Feel the
they
rhythm,
need to
feel the ride, baby. It's bobsled
if
time.
Disney's going to remake some of these movies, they need to remake that one. That one would be
That one, yeah.
great. I
Yeah.
would love to see a remake of that.
Can,
Let's take
can
a
we get a
break.
Mighty Ducks remake?
They kind of did with that series, though.
I'm
The
just
series that
saying.
came out on Disney Plus, and it's not bad. I'm going to
I don't
throw it
know.
out there. It's not bad. It's really not. I
Yeah.
think Estevez left after the first season, though, if I'm not
Hey,
mistaken.
a little nostalgia don't hurt. Little sprinkle of that
Never.
don't hurt, man.
Never heard none. Let's take a break, though. We'll get to our guy, Ryan Holt, and the Bakersfield Condors on the other side. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.
Call or text into the Early Bird Special at 661 842 2000.
Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. And it's time to talk hockey with our guy Ryan Holt of the Bakersfield Condors. Sir, good to see you. How are you? Can you hear me, first of all? We've been having issues with the stream today. Uh-oh. KG, I'm assuming you can't hear me either. You can hear me, but now I can't hear you. What the heck? Oh, this is going to be a day, gentlemen. I apologize. Ryan, give me a call on the phone real quick, my friend. It seems like the stream is going to be odd with me today. Folks, I apologize. Again, I am not sure exactly what's going on with this thing. This is just not liking me today whatsoever. KG, can you hear me now? See, I can still hear him, but he cannot speak. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Give me a sec. We got Ryan Holt on the phone right now. Ryan, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now.
There you are. I apologize, my friend. For some reason, this streaming service has been giving me grief today. I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with all this.
I knew once you started opening your mouth, and I said, you know what? I can't hear him on the other end. I said, I think we're in trouble here. But
I know.
We're good.
That's what I'm worried. And I'm worried if they could even hear me on the stream now, which is weird because we were just talking completely fine on the stream 2 minutes ago. And for some reason, it's deciding, we're not going to work. But before we get into things, Condors, I have to talk to you about this entire women's ice hockey situation out there at the Olympics. Have you been keeping up with this?
Yes.
So I personally was not aware we even had a women's professional ice hockey league. I know that now it is owned by Mark Walters and it has started in 2023, but how good are these women? Like I'm seeing these games 5-0, 4-0 against Canada. I mean, we must have some studs.
Yeah, I mean the U.S. and Canada are clearly the two best, women's ice hockey programs. They have been for, basically eternity. It's only been the U.S. or Canada to win, the gold medal in all the Olympics that they've been contested. I think they started in '98. I think was the first women's one. But yeah, the PWHL. There's been multiple different iterations of kind of various women's professional leagues over the years, and the PWHL a few years ago kind of consolidated everyone. They expanded this year to Vancouver and Seattle, so they have teams in kind of the hotbeds, if you will, of the U.S. and Canada. So they have a team in Ottawa, they have a team in Toronto, they have a team in Boston, New York, Minnesota, and they've expanded over the years. So definitely a growing side of things on that end. And obviously the international competition is getting better, but still it's, you can probably chalk it up to U.S. and Canada in the final here in a couple of days.
I was kind of grasping that when I was reading up on everything. And I did look into the PWHL just to see how many teams they had. It looks like they're up to 8 now, and it's ever expanding. Is there going to be a time, you think, where women's hockey gets, I wouldn't say as popular as men's hockey, but definitely reaches some sort of level of maybe the AHL?
I definitely think so. I think there's, obviously a growing, need for, just women's sports in general in various, markets. And
absolutely,
with the WNBA the last, handful of years, obviously with the growth of that league and expanding into markets that, they've expanded to over the years. And, I think the hockey side of things the same way. Do I think they're going to get to 32 teams? No, I don't think so. But, I think they've with this, the NWSL, the soccer league, the WNBA and its growth over the last couple of years, women's sports has definitely, taken off.
Oh, 100%. I could not grasp. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I didn't know we had a professional women's hockey league in general, but the fact we were beating Canada 5-0, 4-0 was incredible. I was like, wait, what? We're crushing Canada?
Yeah. I mean, the U.S., the thing with, the women's game is they've tended to, and the U.S., this is kind of the first year where, they've, gone younger, if you will, kind of let the passing of the torch happen here. Hillary Knight's still playing for the U.S. I mean, she's played in the last 5 Olympics, so that's 20 years, right? That's from 17 to 37. So I think from a U.S. perspective, they've gone younger. From the Canada perspective, they've kind of kept the old guard, if you will, the Marie-Philippe Poulins of the world, who are like 40 years old. Like they haven't wanted to get rid of and it's hard, right? Because that's their international stage, right? As much as they like playing pro hockey, the international stage for women is their goal and their end goal. So, this will be the last tournament for a lot of them, but yeah, it'll come down to one game here in a couple of days, U.S. and Canada, and you can probably set your clock to it.
I love it. I love it. Hopefully we get a gold out of that because I would love to see that. Are the men's ice hockey teams taking place right now as well? Do you know? I have not seen.
Men just got underway.
Did they?
The first game's going on right now. It's Slovakia and Finland, and just put out a tweet. The Condors have 6 former Condors at one stage or another playing in the Olympics. So obviously Josh Szymanski's playing for Germany, which is great. He's a current Condor, and that's awesome. Leon Draisaitl's obviously still in the organization.
Yep.
But we've had guys from the past, 10 years that have played for the Condors to, still play in the Olympics. So Patrick Russell plays for Denmark. Janis Jaks plays for Latvia. Martin Gernat plays for Slovakia. They're playing right now. And Philip Broberg plays for Sweden, and they have a pretty good shot at not only a medal, but probably a gold too.
So you said one of them still plays for the Condors right now?
Yeah, Josh Szymanski. So he was just recalled before the Olympic break to Edmonton. So he was with the Oilers right before the Olympics, but should be back with us in a couple of weeks.
So he wasn't actually on the active roster when he got called to the Olympic team then?
No, he was. Yeah.
Oh, was okay.
So he was going to miss. He was going to miss this time anyways. And we have the All-Star break here this week, so he knew he was going to miss 4 to 5 games anyways with us.
True.
But that's just the nature of the business. The U.S. team and the Canadian team obviously are filled with NHL players, and they're taking a break. But a lot of the second-tier teams, if you will, the Germanys of the world, the Slovakias of the world, the Latvias of the world, those teams are filled with European players, but also guys that are in the AHL. So you look at the rosters of those teams, and some of them are from AHL teams. So I think there's probably 50 AHL players that are over there in Milan right now.
And so before we shift over to our guy Quinn and the AHL All-Star game and the upcoming games against the Gulls, how do you guys kind of, from a front office standpoint, address that when you know that you're going to be losing a guy due to the Olympics or to something like this? Because I know there are a couple things that come up during an NHL or an AHL season that can pull guys away, right?
Yeah, I think it's something to celebrate, right? The Olympics comes around once every 4 years, and for NHL players, this is the first time in over a decade that they've been allowed to go. So guys who otherwise wouldn't have been allowed to go. So Szymanski wouldn't have been allowed to go 4 years ago, right? He was on an NHL contract, so he wouldn't have been eligible to go to the Olympics. So I think it's great. It's great for Josh. What a cool experience for him and his family. And he comes from a family of 7, and they're all over there. And pretty cool. And hopefully, they play the U.S. in round robin play. So we'll see what happens. We're rooting for Josh, but we're rooting for the U.S. too.
I can relate to him there. I am one of 7 as well. So it's a hectic household, brother. I can tell you that. Let's shift over to the Condors. Unfortunately, we lost the last 2 to the rain. We were leading at one point in both of these games, though. What was your vantage point of what happened?
Yeah, 2 really good games. Ontario, first off, is a very good team. That's a team that, I think you're going to have to go through if you want to get, further along in the postseason than maybe most think. So, I think for the Condors, I think what you saw in the 2 games, and this is where, minute stuff is going to start coming into play because, the Condors were without Leppinen and Dineen, their 2 top defensemen. They were without Clattenburg, probably their most physical forward. Max Jones, their second most physical forward. And Szymanski, who's in the Olympics. So there's 5 guys right there who would have a big say in, kind of how those games go. That being said, we led after 2 in both those games and, weren't able to put them away. So, Ontario's a good team, learning lesson, I think, for the team over the weekend. And, I think it'll look much different coming into the weekend here against San Diego.
Oh, I agree. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but are you taking this as kind of a gut check kind of a weekend for the team? I mean, we know that they're young, and sometimes that's kind of what happens with young teams, right? They just can't find the way to finish off the game after starting so well.
Yeah, and I think too, the games against Ontario and in Colorado and San Jose and Coachella to an extent, those are kind of like back pocket games, right? Because nobody's beating them, right? So you're not necessarily worried about losing ground because anytime Ontario plays somebody, they're beating them. So, yes, it would have been nice to gain ground on Ontario and Colorado at the top there. But, I think there's a clear division of 4 teams now, I think, at the top. And, we'll see how this ends up playing out. But, I think the Condors are in a good spot. And, yeah, San Diego is one of those teams that, you probably should beat this weekend. So, get back after it and get back after it here at the All-Star break.
And obviously we start on Friday at home for country night, I understand.
Yep, country night. So we've got local country rock band In Cahoots playing
nice
on Friday night. So we have them throughout the game, pregame, and then during the intermissions, they're actually going to be at Roosters after the game too. So there's an official after party at Roosters. We won't be able to go, meaning me and the team, just because we'll be on the bus down to San Diego. But yeah, it should be a fun time. Should be a fun atmosphere. It's also $3 Beer Friday.
Of course.
We've got country hats to give away too. Where are they? I don't know if I'm still on the stream, but they're right there there we go. We got the country hats hanging on my desk. So, so those are just $5 at the game as well too on Friday night. So a lot going on, and we have a mechanical bull on the front plaza as well too. So I mean, what else would you want?
You know what? That is really cool, and this country-based community would probably die to see all that and be a part of it. So I can't wait to see it on Friday. My friend, we will let you go. I know you're incredibly busy, so thank you so much for your time, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Talk soon.
Thanks, brother. Let's take a break. We'll get our guy KG back in here during that as well, and we'll get into some more sports stories. I know there's a ton going on in the NFL as well. Want to get the thoughts of our guy KG because he is a 49er fan. This one, not loose. This one, he's a diehard. I can attest to this. So for those you football fans who are looking to take shots, no. He is a diehard. We have to sit with the 49ers on this. Let's take a break. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.
Call or text into the Early Bird Special at 661-842-2000.
The Drake Toll Show. They elected Todd Monken to die. What
All right, welcome back. Final segment of the day right here on the Early Bird Special. Again, apologies for all the technical difficulties that we've been having today. For some reason, it just wants to go in and out with every segment. It knows.
It's because
It knows
Sparky's not here. It
somehow, some
knows.
way that we went to break, and it can mess with us today because Sparky's not here to run the ship, and I can't do it, man. I don't know what's going on, but KG, can you hear me now? Can we hear you? This is the other thing.
I can hear you loud
There
and
you
clear,
go.
bud.
Perfect. We got you back too. I don't know what I apparently can't have you and Holty talking at the same time on a video. That's so weird. We're gonna have to have a conversation with the light stream people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
What's
you know what it is. They're like, oh, you want more boxes, huh? you
want
want
more
more
stuff?
boxes?
You know what?
Yeah. You want more guests?
It cycles back to the topic we brought up earlier. There's nothing
Yeah.
for us, man. It's all about the Benjamins. They just want more money out of us. Real quick,
Yeah,
we
man.
already brought up the Super Bowl halftime show. I wanted to end the show today on a little bit of a lighter note, on a happy note, and an interesting note. The Athletic, something that I subscribe to and very much love to read every single day. If you are not a fan of the New York Times, I apologize. But I do like the Athletic. It is one of the best sports journalism groups in the country, easily. And they came out with their top halftime show rankings. This is updated, obviously, with Bad Bunny. They went as far as, I believe, like 27. I only took the top 10. Okay. And they base these based on music and dance, which they put from 0 to 10, staging 0 to 10, performance-related circumstances, which is current events, time of the day, and several other things that kind of just tie into the act itself, also a 1 to 10 ranking, and performance related to stature. So basically, how big you are. If you're Michael Jackson, did you live up to being Michael Jackson? That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where do you want me just to go down the list, my friend, or you want to make some guesses on what number 10 is?
I'm gonna say number 10 would possibly be, and maybe my personal ranking, it would probably be higher. I'm pretty sure it's in that top 10. Janet Jackson incident at the Super Bowl, that whole thing.
Oh, Janet would be great, but I'm gonna tell you right now, the vast majority of these take place during the 2000s or older. There's only one from the 19s.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure that one in the 19 is,
We all
the
know
great
that one.
MJ. Yeah.
Yes, of
But,
course.
yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. So number 10, they had Bruno Mars and the Red Hot Chili Peppers back in 2014. They gave it a 32.5 overall. Music and dance, they gave it an 8.5. The staging, they gave it a 9. The PRC, which was the performance related to circumstances, they gave it an 8. And the PRS, the performance related to stature, they gave it a 7. I don't know if I don't
even remember that.
one.
Yeah,
I don't know how we got this one on.
Wait a minute, that's out, bro. What kind of Mandela effect universe did we just slide into? I don't remember. I
remember Bruno being the halftime show, but I wouldn't necessarily put him in the top 10. Number 9, they put Katy Perry, Lenny Kravitz, Missy Elliott, and Left Shark from 2015. The next year, it got half a point higher than that. Again, I think you're reaching on that a little bit. That's the one.
Yeah, what?
That, if I'm not mistaken, was the game where Seattle threw away the championship, and she had all those sharks on the stage with her dancing, and everybody loved it. It became an internet.
All right, well, wait a minute. I gotta stop you right there. Please tell me at least Prince is in this list as we're.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Hey, you know what? Hey, let it slide. Yeah.
Michael and Prince, we're fine. Number 8, they did Beyonce and Destiny's Child from 2013. So apparently from 2013 to 2015, we had a stretch of top 10 shows, says The Athletic. 7 they gave to Kendrick and SZA back in 2025. I think that's critically low, but with all of the stuff that came from it, I guess I understand why they would sit there and put it so low.
It's top 10. It's top 10. That's good enough.
It is top 10. Yeah, I guess. 6, they put Bad Bunny. They put this year's halftime showdown as number 6 overall. I loved it. I don't know if we got to ask you this yesterday, my friend, of what your thoughts were about the show, but I
thought it was a great cultural representation performance piece for a Super Bowl. And
they gave it a 10 out of 10 on staging and performance related to circumstance. So the
theatrics were there. Yeah.
The only thing that it says that it kind of fell short on was the music and dance, and obviously that's because the vast majority of America didn't understand some of the songs. But we all can get down. We all can jig. I mean,
Man, we just here for the music. How many songs that are in English that people don't know the words to that swear up and down as they say, man, get out of here with that,
just enjoy the
bro.
beat of the song and
Yeah,
dance. Have a good
just enjoy the
time,
rhythm, man. Let the rhythm take control, as they say. Come on.
And I'd rather have that than the lip syncing Kid Rock stuff.
Or Super Bowl halftime performances that we can't remember, obviously, for a good reason. There's a reason why our memories are blocking those out for some reason. I kind of got to start questioning who made that list. But continue.
Hey, we're good. Let's see. Number 5, we got Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick, and Eminem back in 2022.
Definitely.
Fantastic show. Again, maybe that's me being having some recency bias here, but I think it should be higher up on the list, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Number 4, they got Coldplay, Bruno Mars, Mark Ronson, and Beyonce from 2016. I love Coldplay. I am a massive Coldplay mark, but this does not deserve to be number 4.
Okay, yeah, we need to take that one out because we've got 2 repeats. We've got Bruno and Beyonce again,
yeah.
In this, so like, let's to the back.
With the minute we got left, Michael Jackson is number 3. We all knew that was going to be on the list. The one that showed me though, so Prince is number 1. That was a perfect 10. That was the best Super Bowl halftime show. They gave it a 10 across the board. But number 2, they gave to U2. This person who wrote this clearly was growing up during a specific era of time. And I don't know, man. I the more and more I'm looking at this, I'm just like, eh.
Hold on, man. I just threw my glasses, bro. I can't.
You pulled a Jordan? You threw the glasses?
I can't believe this crap, bro. This is okay.
Yep. So that apparently to The Athletic was your top 10 Super Bowl performances as of right now, and I guess we'll find out next year if Taylor Swift will be next on the list, and maybe she'll jump into the top 10.
Please, God, no. Hey, bro, I thought you wanted to end this on a good note, on a happy note.
I'm sorry. I tried to. Okay. My friend, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you sitting in for
no doubt.
Sparky. Sparky will be back tomorrow, and Kimble will be back on Tuesday. So,
yeah, man, we got a whole bunch of going, man. You know, it's been great. It's always a pleasure. Thank you guys once again.
Thanks, brother.
Shout out to the Condors. But yeah, we're out.